Welcome back to The Takeout. You may have seen earlier this morning the airspace over the El Paso, Texas airport was closed. Well, now it's reopened after the FAA temporarily closed it. Officials announced a 10-day closure overnight because of, quote, special security reasons. But then flights were allowed to resume just a few hours later. Sources now tell CBS News the disruption was actually because of a disagreement between the FAA and the Pentagon over drone-related tests. So we've brought in Olivia Rinaldi, who reported on this all day, knows a thing or two about aviation, and can answer some questions about what on earth was going on here. So do we know what sort of tests the Pentagon was trying to conduct?
So they're actually testing a high-beam laser, high-energy laser that was supposed to help shoot down some drones that have been coming over the U.S.-Mexico border. And these are drones that have been coming from the cartels. They've been having issues like this for a while, but they're saying that they're growing in intensity, and because of that, they're trying out this new technology. So high-energy laser was one of the things they were planning to try that really set off this whole issue.
Because we have a military base sitting next to a civilian commercial airport that's also a major cargo facility for that very western tip of Texas and southeastern New Mexico.
Yeah.
And the conflict just boiled over.
It really did. And we got to take a step back and kind of look at this from 30,000 feet up, if you'll take the airplane.
No pun intended.
If you'll take it. But this really stems back to last year and DCA and the plane crash that happened when an Army Black Hawk here in Washington, when an Army Black Hawk helicopter collided with a passenger jet. It killed 67 people. We just had that memorial 2 weeks ago. And so there's still a lot of tension between the FAA, Department of Transportation, and the Pentagon. They kind of feel like the Pentagon doesn't always let them know when they're planning to do things that could impact civilian aircraft. I'm thinking of Venezuela earlier in January, when they did not reopen that airspace for several days because the Department of Defense was not telling the Department of Transportation whether they were done conducting exercises. So they've been really in the dark. This boiled to a point, though, last night where they were planning to try these new high-energy lasers. I suspect that the FAA was arguing with them about whether this would be safe to do in that airspace. And essentially, we found out that Brian Bedford, who is the acting administrator of the FAA, said, no way, 10-day NOTAM, which is unheard of, unprecedented in peacetime.
So he knew it would get attention, in essence.
Absolutely.
And the fact that this was resolved just before 9 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Out in El Paso, signaled how quickly that's right, Mountain Time. That's how big Texas is.
Yes. Multiple time
signaled
zones.
How quickly
Yes.
it got the White House's attention and basically told these guys to sort it out.
And it happened at such an interesting time because it started at midnight, right? So no one's really flying in at midnight, but they do start to get those flights going in the morning, in the early hours around 7 a.m. So just a handful of flights were canceled, but it was enough time for the airlines, FAA, Department of Transportation, and certainly the White House to go, wait a second, what is going on here? We're told there was a meeting at the White House this morning with Chief of Staff Susie Wiles. After that, NOTAM was lifted. Conversation was flowing. We don't know what's going to be the impact of whether or not someone's going to get fired over this. But this issue, sources have been telling me, has been boiling in this government for a long time, at least for the past year. So we'll have to see what actually is the fallout, if there is one. But there needs to be a conversation between the FAA and the Pentagon.
And it sounds like the Chief of Staff started that conversation this morning. I'd be remiss if I didn't ask. Is it safe to fly right now?
It is safe to fly right now. It is always safe to fly. We are one of the safest countries in the world.
Even into El Paso, DCA, Burbank, these places where there's conflicts.
You know what? Because you'll have people in this government who are willing to put the safety of Americans flying in civilian aircraft before testing a new high-energy laser.
All right. You know, we kind of joked that we call her Runway Rinaldi because she knows all things aviation.
I was prepared for that, and I came up with Ed After Dark, which is what we have right now.
Oh, I like that. All right. Well, thank you. Olivia, thank you for being here. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.